Hello and welcome, heroes, to the Crit Academy. I am your host, Justin.
I'm your co-host, Ian.
And I'm your guest, Darrin Scott, creator of Versatile NPCs.
And we are happy to have you.
For sure. This podcast was created to provide you, our heroes, with new and usable material for both players and DMs.
So we hope to inspire you with creative content that you can bring onto your next adventure.
Our show may not be suitable for young children, but neither is our D&D games.
I'm going to adjust these a smidge because they're coming out of his... There we go. This episode is brought to you by our generous Patreon donors. If you do not know, Patreon is a membership platform for creators to build relationships with their most loyal fans, known as patrons. It's a tier-based reward system that allows you to support your favorite creators for as little as $1 a month. In exchange, you are offered exclusive content based on your tier that you select. We have many different prizes. The big one is our live stream. Welcome, Sam. Thank you for joining us. And among other things, if you... in addition to a Patreon, there are other ways you can support our show. Brandon does commission arts.
He does.
Starting as low as $8 up to $20 for full body color, which is an amazing deal. You can head on over to our Facebook page and click on the photos area and find his little art gallery there. As well as you can purchase your books through our Amazon affiliates on our website at critacademy.com, or you can click on the Dmsguild banner and purchase some nice, beautiful additional content there, and we'll get a small kickback for that. And of course, you can always wear a Baller Crit Academy t-shirt.
It's very nice.
By the way, I am putting the GMs Do It on the Table shirt together. I think that'd be awesome. Crickets? Okay, whatever.
I think my face says it all.
Thank you for joining us today here at Crit Academy Studios, where everything's made up and your roles don't matter.
Yep, that's right. Your roles are like a world without any interesting NPCs.
You know, that reminds me. Have you guys played the D&D board games?
No.
Never did.
I bought one, or I got one for my birthday, and I'm playing it. And I feel like that's a world without interesting NPCs. Like, I've got this luscious backstory, and then like one or two people that are of any interest, and the monsters are just things to be destroyed, and that's it. It's kind of, as a D&D player, it kind of is a little bit of a letdown, I'll be honest.
Yeah, no, there's a reason why I played D&D rather than board games. Is there's that creativity element to it.
You nailed it.
I'll admit, though, having a good NPC does go a long way, because I remember one time I was running at the store, the Dragon Age RPG, it's a tabletop version.
Oh, yeah?
And I created essentially, I had the players had to go pass on the word to farm saying, hey, retreat back to the fort. There's a siege that's going to be happening here. Get to safety. Mm-hmm. And the very last guy they had to escort back to the fort, and he was a senile old man that kept doing really stupid stuff. And I roleplayed him so hard that I actually had one character pause and the other character go, I hate old people.
That's funny.
Yep.
Isn't that like Vox Machina? Don't they have favorite enemy old people or something?
I know they got the who's the crazy guy with the would you care for some black powder? What's his name? The merchant guy.
I don't.
Oh, you don't watch that show?
No.
Damn. I can't remember his name. I'm sure somebody in chat will tell us.
Although I do recall one time though in the webcomic D20 Monkey, a female ranger took patriarchy as her favorite enemy.
Patriarchy? Is that it? Can you even? I would be impressed if a player brought that to me. So just so everyone knows, Ed apparently is at the brewery, watching us. So that's interesting. Drink one for me, buddy. Or three.
Apparently, Cody brought the brewery home.
It was Victor. Thank you, Sam. Anyways, we have a very interesting show for you today. But before we get into that, we really like to start the show off on a high note, and we do that by giving away free adventurers compliments of our sponsors. First one from Goblinstone. Darrin, who is our winner today?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He wasn't ready for that, sorry.
Oh, wonderful. Which adventure is it?
This is from the sponsorship from Goblinstone. So it'll be right there in bold.
All right.
Did you find it? The winner's name?
under
sponsor Goblin Stone winner.
Yeah, I see it.
Oh, okay.
Winner. Yeah, I see it. But I don't. Wait a second, it's blank though for me.
Really?
Oh, you know what? You're not looking
I
at
might
the
have the
live
version.
document. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my bad. Ian, who is our winner today?
I'm assuming I'm not going to slaughter this, and the winner today is Jay Bosom.
Are you sure that's right?
No, I am not. That is how I'm reading it. You'd think I'd be used to this by now.
Oh, yeah. You never get used to the Hulkster, man. Congratulations to Jay Bosom.
I hope that's how it's pronounced.
If you enjoy the adventure, please head on over to Goblinstone and leave him a review. Tell him what you like, what you didn't like, and help him improve his product moving forward. Feel free to click on that Dmsguild banner there, and if you decide to buy anything, give us a kickback.
Yep. Have fun with that, Jay Bosom.
Bosom. We're not laughing at your name. We're laughing with you.
And there's a tradition of slaughtering them.
Welcome, Cody. For those of you that don't know, if the best way to support any creator, whether it's Goblinstone or Darrin and his Versatile NPCs, leaving a review is one of the best things you can do. It helps spread the word and lets other people know that their investment is worth it. And if you leave a poor review, it helps them improve the product so that they can make it better and get more,
as long as it's constructive.
Well, is anybody constructive anymore?
No.
Darrin would probably know better than us.
I'm not. I've had some constructive feedback, so mostly from people who weren't leaving reviews though. So I'm not sure if that counts.
Any constructive criticism is good because that's how you improve. Anyways,
Yep.
So we have an absolutely phenomenal show for you guys today. I am super excited. We have for our Let's Talk About Blank segment, we got a special question from Dan P. In regards to I forgot which one I picked.
I don't know.
In regards to a supernatural gambler, our main topic today is with Darrin in regards to his awesome supplement, Versatile NPCs 2, right?
Yep.
Because this is your second one. And I fell in love with this when I found the first one, and I cannot wait to talk to you about it. And then we have our Unearthed Tips and Tricks, where we bring you new and reusable material for both players and DMs. But before all that, we have in the realm where we spent a few minutes talking about a little bit about what's going on in our realm. Darrin, what's going on in your realm?
Right now, I've just been getting some personal training sessions right now. So
cranking the weights.
Oh yeah. So that's been nice. Getting some more exercise. Coming up on my last quarter, and just ready to be out and through with that, and on to getting my license soon.
Oh, that is
nice.
awesome.
Nice.
That's a huge accomplishment. You should be very proud.
Yep. I think I'll be the first one in my main family that, of my generation, that's actually gotten a master's.
Wow. If you don't mind us asking, what is your degree? Unless you said it and I missed it.
Marriage family therapy.
We need to talk.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll clock in now.
Wait, I can't afford nothing. My wife controls all the money. Sorry. Well, that is awesome, dude. Congratulations, and I'm glad it is going really well for you.
Tell me about your childhood.
Do you have like a couch people lay on?
No, I was thinking about that for a private practice, though, is just having one of those layback couches where I just say, okay, so tell me about your problems, and that's the first part of the session, and I just say, for the rest, and just kind of write on a notepad.
Charge $1,000?
Yep. At the end, it'll be $2,000. Boom.
Oh man, I think that would be an awesome character concept. The player is just constantly asking the other players, "So, Nut Puncher, how are you feeling today? Do you want to talk?" Start charging them a gold per hour or something.
It sounds like a cleric to me.
Oh yeah, there you go, rocking the cleric.
Yep. Or a bard.
Or I feel like that more person would write stories about those people. Instead of be just like, oh yes, this happened, interesting, and starts writing his book. Awesome. That is great news. Darrin, would you like to ask Ian what's going on in his realm?
Ian, what is going on in your realm?
Why, Darren, I am glad you asked. As usual, not too much. But this past weekend, though, I did go to a going away party for a coworker of mine, who I actually work with in the morning show.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she actually got a job as a weekend anchor down in Dayton, Ohio, which she views as a step up because she wants to be an anchor long term for her career, but right now she's a reporter, so for her, step in the right direction.
That's always good. Anytime, I'm always happy for anybody that can, take a step up in the world without like stepping on other people to get there.
Yep. Yeah.
Very cool.
And let me see. I finally watched the third Evangelion movie, and it was as big of a letdown as I heard it was.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Like the anime or like a live action?
Anime.
Oh, okay. I didn't know they made 3 movies.
Well, they announced they were going to make 4, and the first 2 were pretty decent. And I heard they were like, what the heck? And I watched them like, huh? They were right.
Very cool.
Justin, what's going on in your realm?
Thank you for asking. So 2 things. The first one is you recommended, and I think some of our patrons recommended watching Dragon Prince.
Yeah.
I am 5 episodes in, and it is fucking amazing.
Except for the frame rate.
Yeah, the frame rate bothers me, but since I was on a shitty phone for a really long time, I don't really notice as much because my phone was just skipping all the time before I got the new one anyway, so it's kind of just back to the old shit.
Well, what bugs me is they said it was actually a design choice on their part because they're trying to imitate 2D animation. It's like, guys, that's not how that works.
Well, they failed.
Yeah. And the creator said, yeah, we didn't get feedback until after we made the episodes, and then everybody told us it sucked, so we're going to hopefully change that in future episodes. I'm like,
Good, they should. So if you don't know what it is, if you ever watched the show Avatar: The Last Airbender, I think a lot of the people that worked on that are the ones that are writing and working on this. And the story, it shows, and it is fantastic so far. I'm only 5 episodes in, but...
Speaking of...
What's the name again?
Dragon Prince on Netflix.
Dragon Prince.
Speaking of which, what was your take of the announcement that they're doing a live-action remake of Avatar on Netflix?
It's unnecessary.
Agreed. I mean, if they were doing, like, expanded universe material, such as prequel, sequel,
something like that,
adaptation of the comics, sure, but why remake the original series? I mean, unless they're making it R-rated, I guess, but...
we'll see.
I saw a good meme about that. It's one of those open the gate memes.
Oh yeah.
It's like they're making a new Avatar thing. Open the gate, and it's like it's gonna be a remake of the other one. Close the gate, and then it's gonna be it's gonna be live action. And it's like close it, but it's the original creators. Open it a little bit.
I saw that.
That's funny. I haven't seen that yet.
And Tater, which Prime series are we talking here?
What did he say?
Hey, yeah, check out that Prime series that you recommended. I love it.
Yeah, he talks about a lot of shit. You got to be more specific, Ed.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think was is really
I mean, we're talking Transformers Prime. Yes, it is awesome.
The other thing that's really going on, I'm super excited. As of today, Cobalt Press retweeted our show and shared it on Facebook, and they called us experts. So first, Wolfgang, I'm sure you didn't listen to the episode if you think that. But thank you so much for the kind words. I was super stoked when I saw that. It was one of those we're kind of making it moments. So I was super excited. That's kind of what he was feeling. Yes, I was honestly, I had a big grin ear to ear, and I was giggling like a little girl. First, Christopher Perkins follows us on Twitter, and now we're getting shout outs from Wolfgang Bauer and Cobalt Press. So I was super stoked.
Now we can get a certain dude from a certain show on YouTube to follow us, like some guy whose name is his last name rhymes with Urser. Oh, dude, you have no idea how many. I think that's he's like Matt Mercer's like the epitome of like D&D fame, right?
Yep.
And I can only hope to if I could just nibble at the crumbs off of the slop from his table, I would be very satisfied. That being said, I think that'll do it for In the Realm. Ian, if they'd like to visit other realms, how can they do so?
They can go to Audible through the banner on our website, correctgameready.com, and through there they can get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial.
Nailed it.
Free's awesome.
I'm sad because I'm almost done with my Inheritance series. And when it comes to an end, I need another one. I know Savrit has recommended several, and I've also been directed to the Wheel of Time series. So we'll see which one I pick.
That one's going to take you a while.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm trying to not.
14 books on average, 1,000 pages each.
Jesus. So moving on to our first segment, or moving on to our next segment here, we have our Let's Talk About Blank segment where we hear feedback and questions from you, Crit Nation. This question comes to us from Dan P. I am going to be running a new campaign soon. Oh, hang on. I'm going to be running a new campaign soon, but I'm trying to iron out a few details. I'm looking to put a traveling supernatural gambler in it. He roams from city to city and can only be found in the seediest of taverns on a moonless night. He's an expert gambler who only gambles away years of your life. Any options on this would be greatly appreciated.
First off, you need to imitate Kenny Rogers, maybe.
Whatever. Darrin, would you do you have a response to this?
Yeah, I guess my initial thoughts about from hearing this would be, what's the NPC's purpose? Because I know a lot of times a lot of DMs will think of like, oh, this is a really cool character concept, but why do the players care? That's it. It's not that this character isn't interesting. It really is an interesting idea. But how does it relate to them? They can obviously, he gambles away for years of life, but what does he have to offer? That's the sort of thing. How does it tie into what they're doing?
Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Dude, I think you nailed it. That's one thing I think that gets overlooked is when people pick out their NPCs, they're like, "Ooh, I got an idea, I'm gonna stick them here. Ooh, I got an idea, I'm gonna stick them here. Ooh, I got an idea, I'm gonna stick them here." And then
the players go, "We care why?"
Yeah, and that's I think motivation on why they should interact with this PC is super important. So I agree 100% with you, Darrin. If he was to put something in this game, what motivation would you recommend that he use for his players to want to care about this particular character?
The first thing that comes to mind in terms of an obvious answer would be basically making it easier for them to solve whatever their current obstacle is. It's a deal with the devil, so to speak, is the archetypical thing that comes to mind with this, such as you're having really trouble getting over that castle wall. Well, I can make that make a little hole in that wall, but we'll see if that happens or not, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. What I think is if you're gonna have something like this in your game, I would put the characters in a situation where they would have a reason to want to gain life in their years. Like, for instance, if one of the characters decided to play elderly. Have you ever played an elder? You did mention just earlier today, you mentioned an elderly character, right?
They're an NPC, but yeah.
Do you think that if a player was an elderly person, they would opt to risk gambling away any of their life?
Especially if they have like a long-term goal that they haven't succeeded in yet, and they feel like they're running out of time, most definitely. Actually, I'm going to pull from a different RPG as an example, but only because I'm playing Shadowrun right now, but two of the player races you can play in there are orcs and trolls. And orcs only live about 40 years in that campaign setting because they age faster than humans. And trolls, just because they're so freaking huge, it's kind of like giantism. Mm-hmm. I could see why a character of that race would want to get more years on their lives.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Or someone who has an illness that's going to kill them. I mean, obviously, D&D cure wounds.
Right.
Or cure disease, or lay in hands, or whatever.
Or a curse.
Yeah, a curse. That's even better.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Death curse?
Yeah, like you're going to die.
Because you can't cure the death curse.
So, but if you extend your life, you delay it, maybe. Mm-hmm. That could be interesting. I once again, I agree very much with Darrin here. Darrin, did I get that right?
Yep.
I just had a flashback to when I called Gavin for like 3 minutes and nobody corrected me.
I'll let you know.
I think that you nailed it, and Cody, one of our patrons, does have a comment. He says, knowing about the scale of the wicked gambling NPC may help as well. It could range from being the main source of an adventure to just a randomly encounter for the party from time to time.
Or maybe the NPC has a quest for the players, and if they succeed, they'll gain more years to their lives as a reward.
Oh, so maybe he's not directly offering them a gamble. That's just what he does as sort of his trade, and he needs something accomplished, so he's willing to give them the opportunity to earn extended life as opposed to just like giving out a gold reward or something.
Now that I gave all of y'all's here some rewards here for extra lives, do you want me to deal you into another game? Try your chances?
This actually reminds me of one of the, I hate to segue a little bit early, but there's one of the NPCs I included in my supplement is Mysterious Wanderer. He's this, he or she is this enigmatic sort of figure that kind of usually dresses kind of commonly, but that's just one of the suggestions of how they can be employed.
Mm-hmm.
And they have all these unexplained powers. And so
very cool.
Some of the vignettes that I use as an example are just are, for example, one of them who comes over, like sort of the Gontra Odim, if you guys played The Witcher, sort of like that. So I think that it does tie into that a little bit. And so this could be a very powerful NPC, or it could just be some guy who has this really interesting talent.
Or shoot, like to a degree, that's probably like the backstory of Odin in North. That's kind of like the backstory of Odin in Nordic mythology.
Yeah, I was actually thinking something along the lines like a deity in disguise.
Yeah,
who's like Hades and is like offering people, the draw of extended life when really the chances are forever in his favor. To add to his collection of souls.
Fun fact, the way mythology explains Odin's appearance when he takes human form to wander among the humans was actually the inspiration for Gandalf.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very cool. So I think that'll do it for our Let's Talk About Blank segment. Dan, I hope we answered your question. If we didn't, feel free to send a letter to the complaint department at critacademy@gmail.com with a $5 check attached, and we'll make sure it's expedited to the front of the trash can.
Except for the $5.
Except for the $5. I guess that's us moving on to our next segment. I'm super excited for our main topic, Versatile NPCs. Darrin, can you tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into your awesome product here?
Yeah. So I like to call myself a part-time therapist and a part-time nerd. So it's kind of two things that aren't found together very often.
Right.
But so as I mentioned, I'm in my last quarter of grad school for marriage family therapy. But I've always been a huge nerd. I played D&D like before when I was, I think first I was like 12, 11. But I didn't play on that system very much until like much later. I usually played like Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. And then a few years ago, I decided that, I wanted to engage in some sort of creative storytelling that, in a way that other video games and other books and that kind of thing just you couldn't do it in that medium. So
Right.
I decided I wanted to DM, and I've just been hooked on 5th edition ever since.
That's awesome. And yeah, I actually feel like your skills in therapy, does that give you any insight into your players as a DM that most of us probably wouldn't have?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's just it's getting a feel for the room. It does. There's a lot of similarities with group therapy as there is with a D&D game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also knowing about how to confront people or not to confront people, or just to get a sense of the room.
Right. I'm not very good at that.
No.
Thanks for having my back. Yes. So
Pro tip: don't let those unresolved problems just if it looks like someone wants to stab someone else on your table, don't ignore it.
Right. Because eventually they will.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh.
Don't they? I mean, at my table.
You don't want to take that risk.
Yeah, for sure. Some people be crazy. There was that satanic panic thing for a reason, I suppose.
That was one guy, and it had nothing to do with D&D.
Yeah, whatever. So, Darrin, can you tell us about your most memorable D&D moment, or RPG moment, for that matter?
Oh yeah. Well, I've actually had a lot of great moments around the table, so it's hard to pinpoint a single one. Though the one that my players bring up most often, my players and I, is we were playing Tomb of Annihilation, and they were in the jungle about to go breach this Yuan-Ti temple, and they're figuring out how they want to breach the temple, and they say, let's make gunpowder. And they just, out of nowhere, they decided to like, all right, let's go gather the guano and all that kind of stuff. They rolled intelligence for all that, and let's gather the guano, make the charcoal and the sulfur. Hey, we're right next to a volcano right now. Let's do this. And so like, this whole campaign got super derailed by this attempt to make gunpowder. And like I was feeling really lenient that day, so I let it work. But it ended up going for like 2 or 3 sessions, like this whole process. So off the rails, but it was great.
Did they succeed, or did somebody blow themselves up, or both?
They succeeded.
I remember one time where that reminds me of one game where we played in where we derailed an entire adventure, where we had to basically go into like a dungeon that had like a sub basements that kept going lower and lower, and the final boss is on the bottom level, and we had words and go, okay, shape stone, hold the floor. Shape stone, hold the floor. Shape stone, hold the floor.
What the hell?
That was great.
So,
we just bypassed most of the dungeon, just went straight to the bottom.
So we talked about your experience in the counseling profession. And as a DM, that brings a lot of advantages. And that unfortunately a skill I don't have, but as a DM or as a player, has there ever been a moment where you feel like you've failed? And did you learn from that, or how did you deal with that?
Well, I think every DM has their failings every now and then, and I think the main thing we should take away from our failings is how we can learn from them. The one thing I can definitely think of for me that this was actually fairly recently, so it just goes to show that our failures can come with it anytime, even though I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing this for like every week for like 3 years. So it's basically, there was a time when the party got split, and basically it ended up just being everyone felt really bored except for the one person who was doing the role playing at the time. And it just, people were not having fun, and that's sort of what you're going for as a DM. And unfortunately, real D&D is not Critical Role.
Nope.
Where like they where if it's one person doing it, it's still a show, so they're putting on a show even if it's just one of them. But if you exclude people in general, they're gonna become disengaged.
Sure.
Yeah, and that's, I don't know about anybody else, but I know that I've made that mistake, and I have spent a lot of time, and I've talked about it on the show, how to shift the spotlight, whether it's yourself doing it or you're encouraging other players to do it. That is a challenge I think that every DM probably runs into at least once or twice, because when we first start with a new group, it's always hard to know what type of player they are. Unless you've gone through this big thing about collecting, polling your party for 10 questions about how they would handle a situation and understanding their motives better. Not everyone does that. And when you don't do that, it's hard to understand what is fun for each person. And until you understand that, you're going to stumble and trip on opportunities as you're developing encounters and stuff where you will fail to fully engage. If you got the explorer over here and that's the thing that they love, and that's great, and you're doing that, but this guy over here, Ian, loves combat, hates exploration, doesn't give two shits about it, he's going to be bored the entire time you're focused on this person.
And then you have that one player that loves role-playing, and they get hardcore into it.
Yeah, and so they're having fun while the other people are just sitting and watching. And
like, I remember like when I saw between like those two types of players, like the guy who's like heavy into game, whether like guys in the role-playing, game where you're like, okay, I roll to intimidate. Role player, what do you say? What do you mean? What do I say? I roll intimidate.
And there's some people that wouldn't. I mean, some DMs require that sort of stuff. Hey, you need to tell me why you're intimidating, otherwise,
right?
F it. But
you obviously get the point.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you're right on there. And so, what did you personally do to overcome that particular issue?
During the session, I sort of let it play out. When I noticed that the people were becoming disengaged, I expedited things. I just kind of I fast forwarded a little bit, but not too much as to be conspicuous. And then afterwards, I had a talk with everyone, and I asked them, how did you feel about the situation? What do you feel could be different? And I came to the conclusion that, hey, we should probably be more on the same page about what our the party's goals are, what your character's motivations are, sort of thing.
Right.
I tried to go over that in session 0, but we actually had 2 players leave and then 2 new players come in. So it's almost half the party that was a turnover there.
Or
That's rough.
or shoot, there's even some disagreement sometimes about how to play the game.
Oh yeah, one guy wants to stab somebody, another guy wants to talk to him, and the other person wants to rob him, and the other person wants to hug him.
Well, not even that. It's like that one meme I posted that one time where, like, for example, cleric player. Oh my gosh, fighter! That looks like it's painful. How much HP do you have, DM? Hold up, your characters have this no concept of this HP thing. Be sure to speak in character. Okay, fighter, how do you feel? Well, on a scale of 1 to 82, 29. You get the idea.
Yeah. So that always makes me laugh. So that's a really good tip for Crit Nation. So thank you for sharing your personal experience. Now down to the reason why you're here. Can you tell us about Versatile NPCs and how it came to be?
All right, so I think I'll start with Versatile NPCs 2 because I see that as the first proper installment. And so Versatile NPCs 2 is a collection of 68 NPC stat blocks that fill a similar role to the stat blocks in the monster manual. Each NPC has a description, at least one sample vignette, and the vast majority of them have their own artwork, including dozens of really beautiful individual full-color illustrations.
Nice.
Yeah. And I guess this came about over the course of when I was running campaigns and feeling a severe lack of variety with the kinds of NPCs I could employ in my game just from what was in the monster manual. And so I just kept, writing more and more NPCs down for my custom campaign, and the collection grew pretty large. And like, okay, well, I think I could make something into this. And eventually that evolved into 35 Versatile NPCs, which is I actually originally published on Reddit, and then I got a really good response there, so I took away all the art that I didn't have the rights to, and then I put that on Dmsguild. And it was still popular there, and despite this very haphazard release about it, but a lot of people seem to like it, so good for them.
So Kevin, in that regard, what changes did you make from NPC 1 to NPC 2, if you will, that you learned from the first publication?
I think the best way to conceptualize it is like Versatile NPCs 1 is like the alpha version of NPCs 2.
Okay.
So it's there are about twice as many NPC stat blocks in Versatile NPCs 2. I did a lot of stuff with the formatting was really big. A lot of the wording. Versatile NPCs 1 or 35 Versatile NPCs, I should say, had some great ideas, but the execution was lacking in some points.
Sure. But you learn from it.
Absolutely.
So can you walk us kind of through your development process of this whole thing? I know you kind of described you wrote the first one and then kind of rewrote and polished it the second. What all kind of went into that? Was this something a task you took on your own? Were you part of a team? Was it something you put for everyone to share and then a group of people worked on? What is the process you walk to actually build from start to finish this entire process? Because getting on Dmsguild is quite an accomplishment, and it requires you get a lot of scrutiny when you do that. So I imagine there was a lot of the process was quite interesting, and I'd love to hear more about that if at all possible.
Right. So yeah, this was definitely my first big Dmsguild project. But before all that happened, before it was Versatile NPCs, before it was 35 Versatile NPCs, it was just me. And even after that, it was just me. Just kind of me turning my homebrew ideas into something that other people could consume. And then me just noticing more and more thematic and archetypal gaps that was left unfilled by Wizards of the Coast supplements.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just kept working with that, and like most content creation, just in terms of my process of how I create NPCs, making NPCs involves a lot of studying of what's already there.
Mm-hmm.
And even though an NPC ability might be unique to it, you might usually end up copying words from some other rules, like bits of code. And all the while, it's important to keep in mind that running monsters at the table is not like running characters.
No.
So perhaps the most prevalent mistake I see being made from people who do homebrew content with NPCs and monsters is that they load them up with lots of complexity, and that really ends up slowing down the game. Even though our minds can handle the complexity, it's still, when you actually see that happening in a game, it becomes, hold on, let me do this. Oh, sorry, hold up. The monster has to, blah, blah, blah. And a monster doesn't really need all those things. You want to think of it as the minimum amount of complexity you need for it to feel like how you want it to feel, rather than being this complete character that can that's being run by one of the players and has to be super detailed for every situation.
Makes sense.
So a couple of our patrons have a few questions for you. Sam noticed that you have some of the Versatile 2 characters are also part of NPC Versatile 1, such as the ninja and the warlord. Were there changes made to those, or are they?
Oh yeah.
Oh, so you altered them?
Oh yeah, drastically.
Oh, interesting.
Most of them are drastically. There are a few of them that have less alterations, but they've all gone through some alterations, one or the other. I think the one that's gone through the least would be the Outland Veteran. This is a very simple NPC, so it's but yeah, no, the ninjas definitely had a lot of overhauling. The warlord had some. The alchemist had some as well.
Okay.
So they've all been overhauled in some way, shape, or form.
Refined.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good one.
And they've all gotten their own artwork too. So.
Yeah.
And damn it, Ed wants me to ask you: are any of your NPCs based on your studies?
my studies as in my therapy stuff?
Yeah, I think that's where he's going.
No, they're not. The supplement's called Versatile NPCs, so and all of them say any alignment. And so when they're any alignment, it means they can fulfill a vast variety of personality types for each NPC.
All right.
So I don't like to, have players feel constricted.
Edward says, you're lying.
I'm lying.
I can just see it now. He turns, so like, damn, this bitch is crazy. She's got to be an evil witch.
You've been reading my micro expressions.
I will let you know that one of our patrons has purchased your product as of this morning, and he had only skimmed it, so he was interested. Had those questions for you.
Well, thank you very much, whoever you are.
Sam also wants us to give you a thank you for making a Fantasy Grounds version. So.
Oh yeah, I had someone approached me with this, and he was Rob Twahi.
Yes, we've had him on the show.
Yeah, so he approached me about this. He was wonderful. Just made it super super easy, and yeah, no, I'm glad he approached me because I've never used Fantasy Grounds before, so I wouldn't have known how to go about that myself.
And in a way, it's roll 20 before roll 20.
The one thing that I really love about your product is one of my favorite sources to go for NPCs in archetypes is the back of the player's handbook or the player's handbook or the monster manual, where you've got these kind of predefined, and there's not enough for me. You have this in massive list that's what I use as a very often resource where I'm stuck being, okay, this guy's a scout, that guy's a scout, this guy's a scout. They're all a scout because that's really one of the options that I got. And okay, he instead of a short sword, he's got a rapier. That makes him a little bit different, but they're all the same damn stat block. You have taken almost like all the class archetypes and built them into a character stat block in a way that makes them feel like that player class, but once again, you had mentioned not quite as fleshed out, but still is more than enough to give that feeling of that character experience in an NPC format. And I just want to say thank you for that, because that's one of my favorite things about the game is giving, and anybody that listens to our show knows that our monster variants often are monsters that I've given feats to or character features from other archetypes to just to make them stand out. and you have compiled this into such a nice, beautiful array of options. As I'm scrolling through this, I have one question. How the hell do you say the Oni Romancer?
A Neuromancer.
A Neuromancer? I was nowhere near right.
On Nero,
You played The Witcher, right?
I played like the demo back when it came out.
Everyone's played The Witcher. Come on.
Well, I did.
Witcher
I played
3
the
at
demo, but
All right.
I think they finished the first one.
but it's an Oniromancer.
Neuromancer.
So it's been driving me
On
nuts.
Nero, Mancer.
As you're walking through this complex book, once again, you've got some really cool stuff in here. The ninja being one. This Oniromancer. Damn it, it's not Oniromancer. Along with like the Grenadier and stuff.
You know what? You just keep calling it the Awesome Mancer.
Oh, whatever. It is. The whole thing's awesome. When you were going through this process, what kind of challenges did you run into in your either your development or your creative process?
I suppose the first challenge is, I don't know if this was due to my poor business sense or creative hubris or whatever, but I was thinking when I started this, these NPCs all need like great original artwork. And so the challenge with that obviously is you got to pay your artists. So yeah, that's expensive.
It's expensive, man.
And so I mostly kept on with that, and I mostly buckled down and just commissioned the artwork for a lot of these. I also worked on the artwork for a lot of them to help with the costs with that.
Time to learn how to draw.
I love the art. Do you want to give a shout out to any of particular artists that you think really went above and beyond, or did you commission like a bunch of them and that's too many to name?
I commissioned like 3, and I'd say like the 2 main ones were Omicron Sirit, or I don't know if you pronounce his last name Kirit or Sirit, but anyways, he's a great guy. I've worked with him multiple times before. I think we have like these sort of creative visions of how certain characters work, and he does a great job with that. Tia Rambaran, she's also very nice. So those are the 2 main ones. I also there's also another guy, Mario Arojo. I think it's Mario. Yeah. My apologies to you. I did not get your name pronounced right, but the Dean Spencer and Daniel Commercy and Kevin Crawford I also included in this as well. So
Wonderful.
Thank you to all you people.
Yeah, the art is really great, and as a guy who's putting together a book right now,
Can you scroll through there so I can actually see some of the art?
actually, it's not in this one. I would have to open the one I bought. I can send you some pictures. Actually, you know what? I got it right here. Actually.
Oh yeah, right here.
There you go.
Hang on. It's just gonna take me a minute so he can actually see it.
Because we keep them with these wonderful, awesome artwork.
Just give me a second. Because the one I have pulled up is the one you sent me, which is like the print-friendly version. So just take me a second. Let's go here. So you can go ahead and oogle over some of the art here.
Oh, that is good stuff.
Look at that. That's beautiful. The Thunderer.
That's the one I think I probably put the most work in on myself.
Really nice.
Yeah.
The art is just beautiful, man. You really nailed it. Now, did you do the layout and stuff yourself, or did you commission that?
I did the layout.
So as a guy who is learning, do you use homebrewery or InDesign?
This is the dirty little secret is I used Microsoft Word.
What?
Yep.
Yeah, you can do it.
Oh, so we're gonna have to have some chat, man, because every time I have a guest on the show, it's either InDesign, which I do have. No way I'm ever gonna learn how to use that shit. Homebrewery or Word. Yep. So as a
actually, Word's pretty easy if you just put in a table and format it correctly.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic.
Word's easy to use, which is why I was able to do it. InDesign, I was not familiar enough to get the product published like that in a timely manner.
Yeah,
sure.
I'm actually paying somebody to do the layout for us because I gave up trying to figure that shit out. So, as a perspective, I'm too dumb to figure out the word is, but as a guy who wants to create his own content, I am begging you will have a huge audience if you create a short video how to do that. because I could not find anything and would love just a simple tutorial that I can follow that's in a YouTube. I can pause it and I've been pushing JVC Perry to make one for like months because I just can't get that shit. So anyways, that's a little bit of a tangent. Because if you did that in Word, dude, I got a whole new level of respect for you, and I'm going to have a lot of emails going your way. Because I would love to know how to set up Word to look that amazing. So we talked about some of the challenges you ran into with. Is there any particular way that you overcame those challenges?
Yeah, as I said, some of it was just buckling down and hope the investment paid off, and then working on it myself for the art. Another challenge that I actually didn't mention earlier was that there was a major stall with the project because a couple months before the release, my cousin was the editor, and he ended up no longer being able to contribute to the project because he was working pro bono, bless his heart, and then he started his own construction business. So he didn't have the time to do it anymore. So I had to find someone else who could, step in there. And thankfully, I found Christopher Walls, really nice guy. I consider him bringing him on the best decision I made for this product. Sure. Because he's simultaneously a very good editor and also very knowledgeable about the game, which makes him really well suited for the task. You could say like a normal editor might not catch oh no, a stat block needs to be formatted this very specific way, but he knows where everything has to be for a stat block and how all the monster manuals abilities are worded, like each specific ability, and I found that impressive.
That is huge. I recently commissioned a editor to do our stuff, and I had to specifically mention that I need you to kind of avoid some of the wording and adjustments in the stat blocks because the verbiage is super important when it comes to rules. And while it may not sound right, it shouldn't change. And unfortunately, I didn't have somebody I think that really fully understands all the differences in the specific verbiage when it comes to how a spell functions and stuff like that. So that was something going into it I was super concerned about because I spent so much time trying to make sure that when I went through the books, through the sources that I used to make sure that the verbiage matched perfect, even if I misspelled something in the process, So I can totally, I'm very envious that you were had somebody that could really keep an eye out on that stuff. So that's awesome.
That makes me think of the author Glenn Cook, and I read his the Black Company Dark Fantasy series, which follows a mercenary group, and all of his books takes place from a first-person perspective from the mercenaries of the group, mainly the chronicler, whoever is the chronicler in that particular story. And he's apparently had to fight his editor multiple times about grammar because the editor is like, "You're not using correct grammar." And they're also like, "The guy who is writing this perspective is not educated. Of course he's not using correct grammar."
That I should have just put that at the top of our tips and tricks book and just Justin's stupid. This is how the grammar reflects that.
Justin R. Idiot.
So there's a lot of different products out there that deliver stat blocks and stuff like that. We ourselves have submitted content and got it published in the Monsters of the Guild. I don't know if you're familiar, but there's a lot of content out there that is about delivering monsters. What is it you really think is the selling point that makes yours different and why everyone should really pick this product up?
I'd say that most third-party supplements that include NPC set blocks are usually specific to certain characters or very niche, like those you'd find in Tome of Beasts or Creature Codex. It's like you'd have Midnight Wyvern Rider or something like that. And then it's great stuff, but it's very specific. And Versatile NPCs is basically its purpose, its focus is to look at those areas where the monster manual just kind of oh, okay, so you got the CR1 guard and the CR3 veteran. What's in between that? I don't know. And it's for things like that. It's general purpose, and I find that I've downloaded. I have Creature Codex. I have Tome of Beasts. Nice. I have all these different things, but I still find myself using this supplement more than anything else, simply because it's so applicable to so many situations.
Well, then there's always so many holes that always need to be filled.
And actually, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was the one thing I was going to go on. The one thing that I constantly run into is I always have to make NPCs for like mid-level casters, because if I'm not mistaken, in the generic monster manual between CR2 and CR6, there isn't much in the way of like spellcaster NPCs.
Yep.
And I noticed you have an awesome one, the Mage Journeyman, I think, which is a CR2, which is perfect because in my book, the only other CR2 caster that's at that level is a cultist. So I always had to change all the stats on it to give it more of the mage feel when I wanted it to be a mage. And now I can reference this bad boy here, and you have a lot of NPCs that fill in those gaps perfectly. I think you really nailed those missing levels.
Okay, what am I up to for a spellcaster? I have Mage's Apprentice and Grand Archmage of the Elder Fae. What?
That's kind of how I felt sometimes. So, in my personal opinion, that I think that's really the heart and gold of what you have is you give so many more options for those things that are few and far in between in the monster manuals, in a more traditional sense of the monster manuals, I guess. As well as you give once again, you give cool player options to all the NPCs, and I'm such a fan of that, dude.
It's kind of nice to have adventurer NPCs every now and then.
Yeah, without having to build a fancy ass like character sheet, because that's what I would do in some cases, but that's not the appropriate way to approach that.
I can actually appreciate that, because you remember that one Battle Royale I ran that one time? Like, I basically used the classes for the characters, the level 20 characters.
And that was probably a pain in the ass for you.
It took a while.
Yeah, so I think what you've done here is absolutely amazing. So,
Thanks.
obviously...
By the way, I just wanted to mention, though, like, you're talking about similar products with NPC stat blocks. Dragon Heist recently came out, as everyone on Earth and Mars knows. And I was looking through, and they actually included a Grandmaster Monk in that. It is...
Nice.
Wow.
The NPC's name is Slam, and I felt somewhat vindicated because he's got a lot of similarities to my Grandmaster. Like, a lot of the core abilities are like the same, but they approached him as a spellcaster, so that does change some things. But it's interesting to find out how they eventually filled that niche themselves.
Because there's a need for it, and I think in the grand scheme of things, you beat them to it.
Yeah. Actually, I think the NPC you guys ended up being terrified of the most was the monk I built.
Fucking monks. Hit and run. Quick little bastards.
Yep. I fire at him. He catches it. What?
And he throws it back.
It's his turn. He's now next to you. What? Please, 80 feet away. Yeah, that's his walk speed.
So now it wouldn't be much of a versatile NPCs if we didn't talk about specific NPCs in greater detail. So Darrin, can you tell us, do you have a favorite NPC in your material?
Oh yeah. So in terms of like the general NPC that's sort of broad, I think I like the Defender. I think I spent a lot of time playtesting that one. I had some other people playtest it too. It's this NPC. It's heavy armor, slower, got a big shield, and basically what you have to do is you have to flank it. So if you have more than one person adjacent to it, if you have an ally adjacent to it, it doesn't get this bonus to its AC that it normally has. So it's like a reverse sneak attack almost.
Looks like it has like a 20 AC with that bonus.
Yeah, the elite one has it can be I mean, depending on if it's the regular one or the elite one, it could be a nasty opponent.
Yeah.
I love that you kind of put that weakness in his stat block, because a 28, like I'm looking at the forward defense, right? That's what you're talking about, right? Yeah. It has this bonus as long as it can see an attacker and has no conscious allies within 5 feet of the defender.
The attacker has no.
Oh, the attacker. Okay. Yep. So you've built that weakness into his stat block, so that first of all, I forget shit like that all the time. So having a nice little reminder that, hey, this guy's super strong, but they can do something about it, is a really nice touch. And we actually, in one of the episodes we just recorded, we talked about the shield bearer archetype out of Midgard's Hero's Handbook. and this right here would fit perfectly in that sort of setting, in that sort of heavily armed, heavily defended area. And I would love to run a combination of the defender with some of those cool features from that.
Quick, attack the glowing red spot that keeps blinking.
Oh God, video games. So that one is a really, really heavy duty. Get it? Because he's a defender. See what I did there?
Yep.
The one thing that I thought really, and this might just be me, that really stood out was the Grenadier, and was it the gunner or the machine?
Thunder?
No, the gunsmith. Because I don't have a lot of supplements that include explosives. So to me, these were a really nice feature.
But keep in mind, the DMG does have some.
It has.
So I should actually be noticed. That the Grenadier only appears on the printer-friendly version of Versatile NPCs.
Oh.
Because it just ended up. It just basically ended up getting cut from the main one because of a lot of things about finding artwork and vignettes and that sort of stuff. Just didn't really happen, but you can still find it in the printer-friendly version.
Fascinating.
What are the odds that the one that I really liked is on the one I got, but isn't part of the? Now that's still part of the down when they purchase it. It's the one setting below it, right?
Yeah, you still get it if you purchase it.
Okay, that's really cool.
That's the only one that's not there though. All the other ones are the same.
So you get it, but there's an asterisk next to it. Got it.
What I also like the fact that you included the Artificer as the gunsmith as a spellcaster. Can you tell me more about this? Because to me this seems like a very interesting character that honestly I really want to add to one of my games as soon as I can.
Have you seen the Unearthed Arcana Artificer?
Actually, I have downloaded the file. I haven't actually looked at it.
Oh yeah. So it's basically artificers are they're basically wizard scientists. They make stuff. They're tinkerers, that kind of stuff. Usually, rock gnomes are the prototypical artificers, and so a gunsmith could be basically any. Since in a lot of settings there's like, the gods don't allow gunpowder or something like that, but a gunsmith might be like, well, I found this arcane way around it, and so they have this special gun of theirs, and they also have just general artificer powers because the artificer is a class, not just a specific, not just a gunsmith.
Right.
Yep. Artificer in a nutshell. Brother, oh man, I wish I had a magic weapon. Artificer, bolt one.
Yeah, if you want a non-spellcasting gunslinger type, the Thunderer is probably your best bet. He doesn't have a pistol, but he's got a big arquebus.
That sounds cool.
Oh, a big arbalist, yeah.
And blow people up. I really just love all the options you've got here. Even some of the stuff that I haven't got to play as a player. And honestly, as a guy who DMs most of the time, I think honestly that's one of the best parts about your monster blocks is that I get a little bit of play of some of those classes that I don't get to play. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You get like a short and sweet taste of it, is what you're saying?
Yes. Like, because there's honestly, and it might just be me. There's no way I could ever play every single character. That I would want. Every archetype, I don't have the time. There's not enough games, and I'm the DM 90% of the time. So to have monsters that allow me to get that feel and really experience the class without having to build a character sheet and be a player is
especially with the Beastmaster, because who wants to play a Beastmaster?
No.
Kidding.
I'm gonna
a raw Beastmaster? No.
I swear.
Raw, I know.
Yeah. I swear to God that I thought for a long time, just like everyone else in the world, I thought that was just the worst build in the world. And then I listened to I read an article through Cobalt Press that somebody wrote. And I can't remember for the love of me who wrote it. And it opened my eyes up to the potential in the Beastmaster, and I actually went on a ridiculously long rant for a player tip of why it could be a good class and could be great and useful, and now I want to play one and I haven't got a chance.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's my end of my rant again. So, I want to make apparently you can pick a constrictor snake or a giant constrictor snake at like as soon as you get it, and it's a larger creature, so you can ride it. You could be like a snake surfer. I'm not even shitting you.
Yep.
Totally legal build and everything. Anyway. Yeah, I was pretty cool. And because, if you're riding it with daggers and then it coils around somebody, just fucking stab the shit out of them while they're restrained. Anyway. So thank you for talking about that. So as a creator and as a DM, there has to be some sort of resource that you go to, either for inspiration or as a tool to enhance either your game or the content you create. Do you have a favorite resource that you use?
To be honest, I guess I when I'm trying to think, okay, what kind of character, I open up my Steam library and I look at all the games I have and I just think about all the things that are going on in all those games, because video games are such a great source, and that includes science fiction. Like, there's so many great, like, people think, oh, okay, fantasy characters can only be fantasy.
No,
but that's definitely not true. You can, science fiction is basically fantasy, but a little bit more nerdy. I mean. Yeah, and so I guess some of the biggest games that have really been that have really inspired me have been like Borderlands, Mass Effect, and Warhammer.
Mm-hmm.
One of my players is actually running a character currently inspired by the dwarves from Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. So it's all super about like, oh, you insulted my mother's uncles, whatever, this one time by shortchanging her 2 pennies. I'm never gonna forget this.
That's funny. That sounds like it could be fun.
Mm-hmm. And also, if you're running Forgotten Realms, like I think a lot of people already know this, but The Legend of Drizzt, it's really good. I have all the books. I love them. I still haven't read Timeless yet though. And then, of course, there are so many wonderful things on the Dmsguild. I can't even stress that enough. As a creator, I don't copy from them, but I've found some great inspiration from them. I've also found them very helpful for just by DMing in general.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I would also imagine too that what often helps us, and you kind of mentioned this to degree a little bit, keeping things as simple as possible.
mm-hmm.
Like, I remember one example where, like, online on one of, like, the D&D Facebook groups, somebody asked, so how do I in-game make one of the faceless men from Game of Thrones? And everybody was like, oh, you want to do, like, this multi-class between, like, the Warlock and the Rogue or something, mixture like that? Whereas me and my other guy like, dude, just play Couch of Whispers Bard. That's exactly what they are.
Yeah, some people do overthink some stuff like that. You mentioned the video games, and as part of the show, one of my core responsibilities is to make sure we have content. And I cannot agree with you more. When I'm playing a game, I take massive ideas from the games that I'm playing. Like right now, I'm going through the new Spider-Man game, and I have a monster. I have a special thing coming out. I have a special thing coming out, a monster variant coming out that's based off of a character in that game, and nobody except for me will ever see that correlation. But it gave me a great single idea that I could take this monster and add this feature from this creature and get this awesome, interesting baddie. And the same thing goes with encounters. When I play video games and I run into these interesting worlds where you're running through this area and the ceiling's falling. Okay, that's pretty cool. Oh, when the ceiling fell and the spikes fell, it knocked a hole out of the bridge and now there's chunks in the hole. That's not a big deal going there, but when you're coming back, there's almost no path, making a new changed terrain encounter that wasn't ever going to be there before. And that's literally right from one of the games I was playing. And I would have never thought of that. So I just write some quick notes and voila. So I agree 100%. Video games are just as a powerful resource as anything else. One of our listeners like, yeah, I really thought you were going to say novels or something. So
who has time for eyeball reading?
Not me. I actually listen to Audible now.
Yeah, that's what I do.
You can go to critacademy.com and get a free Audible
pages
trial.
a week I have to read for grad school, so no, I do not have time to
I
normal reading.
find reading words to be faster than listening to them, so
I read slow though, so
I
and you're right, it is a lot faster. But anyways, so before we close out our main topic today, is there any secret projects you have coming up, or anything you could give a taste, give Crit Nation a little taste of?
that first one's free.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've lately I've been working on an industrial / steampunk project, and it's going to be a big in scope. Maybe hitting around 100 pages, and it's going to include everything that you're going to need to run a campaign in an industrial or a steampunk setting, including races, backgrounds, subclasses, feats, spells, and monsters. And there's also going to be a guide for laying out the considerations I want you to take into account when designing a campaign. Such as how does this technology work in your campaign? What are some ways you can draw inspiration from here? In terms to give you a sneak peek about what the actual content's going to be like, one of the classes that, I should say the classes are designed around, but still usable outside of an industrial setting. One of them is going to be the Warlock of the Machine Spirit. And if you know Warhammer 40k, the tech priests they worship the machine god, and so it's similar to that in a lot of senses. But
that sounds awesome.
They draw their power from a higher a patron that has powers within the machines, like Primus from the plane of Mechanicus, and they can manipulate machines and have spellcasting based around that.
Oh, dude, sounds so awesome. So
what's that one meme that came from Warhammer 40k or something along the lines of like the Space Marines? These guys are xenophobic technocrats that halted their research for thousands of years, and they go around marauding around space, conquering other aliens, and they're the good guys.
Yep.
So that's awesome. So right here, right now, I'm going to ask you, when that's ready to release and you need some promotion, you let me know, because I would love to do a segment on steampunking up your shit. And actually,
by the way, I should mention it's steampunk or industrial. So if you don't want to have, I don't want those wacky gadgets or anything in my campaign, it works perfectly fine for that as well.
Okay, that is really cool. I like that.
Nice.
I have to show you guys something. Just give me like 10 seconds.
All right.
Oh boy. This Oh, okay.
What do you guys think about that?
Oh man.
We're good?
Yeah.
It's even functional. Look at that.
Even better than the Nerf gun.
Yeah.
You figured out how to dry brush, huh?
I'm so geeky into that shit. I painted one, okay? So I am totally on board with that. So if you decide you want some promotions, you just let us know. Remember, our show airs, like a month later than we record, so we can always work that timing out.
Ooh.
All right.
If you're interested. If not,
I
won't
will,
feel bad.
absolutely. Thank you so much, by the way.
I just briefly in my head pictured like a oversized revolver, kind of like what you just had, but instead of bullets, you put in like vials.
Oh, dude, that's cool.
Like a flechette gun?
No, like vials of magic or potions.
What did you say?
That create an effect.
A flechette gun, I've seen in some video games and that kind of stuff. They have guns that shoot like syringes, basically.
Well, flechette guns are kind of like a shotgun, but it's like BBs. It's
Needles?
Yeah.
Okay. So yours would shoot like vials?
Well, no, you
They
put
could
in
be
vials for the ammo, but
yeah,
a magical effect when you pull the trigger.
Yeah, I created a
Kind of like the caster from Outlaw Star.
I reflavored a wizard that was like the guy from Outlaw Star. Actually, it was more from the Final Fantasy movie.
Yeah, well.
The anime thing where you load the different colored, like my evocation cartridges were like red and shit. It was pretty cool. Anyway, so we're kind of derailing there because that's kind of what we do. So Darrin, thank you so much for talking with us about your awesome Versatile NPCs.
My pleasure.
Why don't you tell them about where they can find it?
You can find it on the Dmsguild. It's currently right now on the hottest products or most popular, and it's Versatile NPCs too. Check it out.
We'll put a link on in our show notes that'll take you right there.
Actually, I just realized something. I've always prepared spells because I thought the concept was stupid, and I know because they pulled it from novels. But if you prepare the spell by crafting ammo,
yes, it makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
There we go.
So thank you very much for sharing this. We really enjoyed reading through this, and we love your book. And please, for all of our listeners, check it out. You can get You can pick up both copies if you want of Versatile NPCs, but NPCs 2 has everything you could ever hope to want. Until he creates more, then you're going to want that too. So I think that'll do it for our main topic today. Before we move into our final segment, we have one more gift to give away. Compliments of Loresmith. Ian, who's our winner today?
Our winner today is Alistair McDonald.
I swear I'm not on drugs.
Not gonna lie, that's a pretty epic name.
Congratulations, Alistair McDonald. If you enjoy the product, please let Loresmith know. Leave him a review. Tell him what you like, what you didn't like, and help him improve his product moving forward. Moving on to our fourth and final segment, we have our Unearthed Tips and Tricks, where we give you new and creative content for you to bring with you on your next adventure. Ian, would you like to take the character concept?
First off, from our patron Gabe, we have Walker Tiefling Ranger.
I couldn't even make it through. What the hell, Gabe? Come on, man.
Make a Tiefling Monk Ranger with the folk hero background. His fighting style is mainly roundhouse kicks, and the people the world over tell folk tales about his legendary prowess and his manly beard, which contains a fist underneath it.
Oh, God.
I had to
I
say
feel
it.
like it just got rickrolled almost.
Yeah, it kind of does seem like that, doesn't it? Darrin, what do you think about this character concept? How do you see it playing out? What would you do to make the most of it?
Well, of course, when you think of the whole Chuck Norris jokes, you think of unarmed stuff as well as, mostly unarmed, because I'm like, okay, is he going to cross-class into a monk?
Mm-hmm.
Because, obviously the Walker Texas Ranger, you think he's a ranger, but more often than not, he's doing roundhouse kicks rather than just killing people outright. So
I know, and there's no ammo companion. What gives?
Does the hunters, is it Hunter's Mark? Does that will that trigger off of any attack, or is that only weapon
Any
attacks?
I'm pretty sure it's any attack.
Good question. I could bring it up on D&D Beyond.
It says whenever you hit with a weapon attack, and I don't think melee attack or unarmed counts as weapon, right?
But they're not Chuck Norris.
That's true. So at least the monk weapon hit would get the bonus hunter's mark damage, I guess.
Did you know Chuck Norris was in Star Wars? He used the Force.
Oh my fucking God. So so I think that would be one of the biggest things to come from this, right? Would be all the building a character that is based around stupid Chuck Norris jokes or Walker jokes, right? He says, maybe maybe he's constantly, when he's in the bars or in the taverns, he's spreading the word of himself without telling anybody it's himself. He's like, hey, you heard of Walker Tiefling Ranger before? I heard that he sold his soul to Asmodeus for his rugged, good-looking beard and an unparalleled martial arts skill. And shortly after that transaction was finalized, Walker roundhouse kicked Asmodeus in the face and took his soul back. Asmodeus, who appreciates irony, couldn't stay mad and admitted he should have seen that coming. They now play Demon Dice twice a year together. Jesus.
When Chuck Norris, when he does push-ups, he doesn't push himself up. He pushes the world down.
I mean, I really think that's the point of this, is just to be a badass monk. But I guess I don't feel like you need the ranger to do that.
Nope.
Unless you're going into it just for the hunter's mark.
Maybe. One time, Chuck got
if you're going into it just for the hunter's mark and it doesn't apply to regular weapon or unarmed strikes, then I would just go with monk.
Isn't also hunter's mark concentration?
It is.
It is.
Yep.
I don't know. So it must be mostly just for the flavor, I guess, unless there's something I'm building. But I do love the idea of having a character that's just is all about these. I hope you're ready, because you're about to meet my left and right leg. Law and order.
One time, Chuck got bitten by a cobra, and 5 agonizing days later, the cobra died.
See, I think that would be a good character if you went into combat using those jokes about like from a first person perspective.
Or get this, he gets into Bard, and so whenever he does he gives Bardic inspiration, he tells a Chuck Norris joke.
Nah.
So would he be telling a joke about this other guy, or would it be like the first rule of Walker Ranger is you do not talk about Walker Ranger? Or, oh my God, this one's bad. I want you to know that my tears will cure anything, but I don't cry.
Chuck
I sounds a little weird in the first person.
Yeah, it's not. It feels like it loses its impact, doesn't it? But not like unlike his punches and kicks.
Not like his punches.
The bearskin rug that Chuck Norris has in his den is actually still alive. It's just too afraid to move.
Oh God! So I think we just lost both of our listeners that we had for the show because of this. So thank you, Gabe. I think that'll do it for this character concept. Walker Tiefling Ranger. Dear God.
It's like he threw words into a blender to see what came out.
Yeah. When I was reading it, it sounded interesting, and then I started talking more. I talked about it, I was like, man, I would be facepalming so much as the DM if a player was running something like that.
Constant groans around the table, I know that.
For sure. Samus says he is still here. Barely. Actually, Darrin, would you like to do our monster variant since you're the big NPC guy here?
Yeah, totally. So just the monster variant you're talking about is the ambushing crawler.
Yes.
Yeah. So based off of the giant centipede, and you would give this the ethereal jaunt. So as a bonus action, it could magically shift into the material plane, from the material plane into the ethereal plane, and vice versa. And then it would have the existing feature of the bite attack that poisons and paralyzes enemies.
So this thing jumps out of just phases between worlds and bites people to paralyze them.
That kind of sick.
Darrin, if you were to run a creature that pretty much is invisible, right, is undetectable, can pop out and just bite people, paralyze your players, and then just go hide again, how would you utilize a creature like that?
This is some predator level crap.
As a DM, or
let's start. How would you utilize a creature like this as a DM? Because
So I guess something that pops out to me is one of the challenges with this, not necessarily in a bad way, is that obviously there's a lot of similarities to a face spider, but the lower number of hit points and damage could introduce these kinds of complications, and not necessarily in a bad way. With monsters that have fewer resources that are required to overcome, you need to include more of them. So
yes.
If this giant centipede is, CR 1/4 right now, and then this ambushing crawler is CR 1 maybe, CR 1/2 or 1, then all probability if the PCs are level 3, they might be fighting, I don't know, like 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so imagine having 5 of these things on their turns, each having their own initiative order, just like popping out and biting your level 3 character. It's gonna be madness.
Well, yeah, and if it paralyzes them, I think this would be a good monster to mix with a more powerful creature, like maybe these little tiny. I say tiny. They're called giant centipedes, but to my understanding, they're still like small or tiny or something. But anyways, these things pop out, paralyze the party. And then, like, something else, maybe a face spider, swoops down and tries to web them up and devour them.
That's what I was thinking, yeah. And, like, they're sort of the spawn or whatever of this bigger creature. It's like maybe, I don't know, like some sort of giant purple worm that's also ethereal. So, actually, one of the entities, or a monster that I had, I published this one on Reddit, was one of the first homebrews I ever did, was the Phase Drider. And so that was a pretty interesting idea. So the Phase Rider was just brutal though, and I wouldn't want to put any characters up against something against that while also being susceptible to paralysis, because paralysis is just brutal.
Yeah,
yeah, it is.
So it's exhaustion,
and because of that, I think this could be a powerful resource for somebody that wouldn't necessarily be like a villain. Maybe you've got like a druid who's protecting a forest, and the PCs, for whatever reason, have invaded, and its defense is to send these specially crafted, ambushers to pop out, paralyze them, and then when they get manually dragged out. And every time they try to come in, they just come out of nowhere, and that now becomes a counter. Not that the villain is trying to kill the players, but just trying to get them the hell out of its territory.
Circle of the Ether Druids, copyrighted. No one else can use it now.
Just something I think is interesting. I think you're right. It is close to the phase spider, except I don't think the phase spider paralyzes anything.
No, it don't.
So that definitely makes a group of these pretty dangerous to your players. So if you are going to have a big bad with it, make sure you put it at a weaker level and assume that some of your party is going to be paralyzed and can't move.
Holy crap, Tater.
So what?
Everyone in the brewery wants me to slide comment. I've already introduced two guys to the show.
What do you do? So you're sitting at the bar, Tater, listening to our show or watching our show, and two drunks just decided they want to listen to it now?
Yes.
So I think those are all great ideas. I think this is a nice little variant. The only really change is you gave them this new ability, and I think that brings a very significantly weak creature up to a more potent level without necessarily increasing the outright damage it can do. So definitely check that out. If you use that, let us know. That is the ambush crawler. I think that'll do it for our monster variant.
Indeed.
Our encounter of the podcast is called the Soil Grove. This comes from patron Durzo. The heroes have discovered The heroes have discovered a druid grove. The druids are upset with the paladin city upstream as the water flowing into the grove. Why is that underlined?
I don't know.
It says I spelled it wrong, but I spelled it the same way everywhere else. It's not underlined. Sorry, I derailed.
Because it's not uppercase, probably.
Yeah. The druids are upset that the paladin city upstream, as the. Oh, okay. I'm an idiot. It sounded like in my head. It sounded like it didn't make sense, and then okay. The druids are upset that the paladin city upstream, as the water flowing into the grove from the city, is tainted. The druids believe the city is responsible. In addition, they've been growing ever more hostile as the city has destroyed more and more of the nearby forest. The BCs investigate and learn that the paladins are unsure of what the druids are talking about, as their water isn't tainted. The investigation leads the heroes to a lake with a small fishing village. The source of the taint is a temple under the water of the lake. The temple was hidden due to a construct that patrols the temple and stirs up the muck, keeping it hidden. The construct's job was to control the dark taint and prevent it from escaping its prison. A local fisherman managed to snag the construct and knock it over, preventing it from doing its job, leading to the spread of the taint.
You might want to go through that paragraph again.
Did I mess up?
There's a few spelling errors.
Whatever. You figure it out.
We got the gist.
Yeah, we get the gist. Darrin, what is your take on this encounter?
So 3 things pop out at me all at once for this. So the first one is like, one encounter. Oh boy.
Yeah.
This seems like a big adventure seed to me.
I agree.
Second one is a city of paladins is probably going to be the most anal location on any of the multiverse planes. It's a whole city full of paladins.
Not necessarily.
And then the third one was that I know my group's not the only one who has this immediate conception whenever they meet an NPC druid, they automatically assume that they're probably going to be evil. All NPC druids are evil.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know, but this is just a thing I've heard, so I guess that's not the case in this one. It just reminded me of the Risen Mists, which is a Dmsguild adept adventure for Tomb of Annihilation, the Mesro thing.
Right. They do great work. The adept work is really just top of the charts, man. Great stuff.
I ran the adventure and we had a good time. So I guess that how you want to run this encounter really comes down to how deep you want to go with this. Do you want to make this like a full-on adventure? How many sessions you want to spend on this? Because it might feel a little rushed if it's just one session.
Right.
If you want to go deeper, you could. First off, I'd actually recommend if you're not worried about copying the there is in this. It's actually just looking into that one. Maybe writing that if it's just for your own home game.
Mm-hmm.
And, as for the source, maybe you want to think, okay, maybe this could be something that's some sort of necromancy, because it's got to be something toxic if it's killing the forest, right?
Right.
Something that kills life. And that could be necromancy, or it could be some chaos magic stuff like Nurgle. I don't know if you guys are Warhammer fans. Or maybe it's like a Captain Planet villain. I don't know.
That's funny. What really stands out for me is the bleeding is from a farther upriver location, but doesn't affect the paladins. Are they like blessing the water or something, and thus they're not affected? I mean, I to me the goal here is that they're blaming the paladins, but they're just assuming that it's the paladins' fault. The players are then have to find out. If the players fail to actually find out that the paladins aren't responsible, does that lead to conflict with people who are quote unquote, good? And if they do figure this out, that this source is this temple, I imagine it would be very difficult for them to figure out that the construct that has been knocked over by fishing line is actually a potential fix for the problem, I guess. And I could see myself having a little difficulty trying to kind of string that together. But overall, I like this idea because it's a traditional, these guys did it, go take care of them. But turns out these guys didn't do it. Okay, well, now we got to trace and figure out, well, if they didn't do it, why isn't it affecting them? And I like stuff that is cut and dry. And you mentioned how anal paladins can be. I think that would create a lot of roleplay opportunity when you're saying, we wouldn't dare. How dare you accuse us of such things? We will have you thrown in the stockades for that blasphemous
Okay, I have to step in on that for a moment, and here's why.
Okay, Mr. Paladin, let's go.
I do think, now granted, a lot of this does come from previous editions where there was a lot of rules about what paladins could and could not do.
Yeah, they had to be lawful good in previous editions, didn't they?
Right, but I think as a result, paladins got a bad rap. Now, keep in mind, my first edition was 4th edition, which broke a lot of traditions, and to a degree, 5th edition kind of continued with that. But I remember one time where we were playing a one-shot game. I was playing a paladin, and there was one point where we got into a fight with some goblins. We won. We captured a few of them, but the guy was new info we needed, and I just like, okay, time to get the torturing. And another place like froze look at me, and one the long-time gamers, guy who played all the previous editions, like, dude, you are a lawful good paladin. Why the heck would you even think about torturing these guys? I'm former Inquisition. Let's move along here.
So you're saying that just because they are paladins doesn't mean that they are necessarily nice guys.
Lawful good does not equal lawful nice.
Fair enough. But I think, and this could be just my vision of it, the structure and design of this, and please feel free to disagree, is that you're trying to challenge a group who says that one person's doing it and the other person's not, and trying to create inter-party conflict between these two different groups, when in fact neither of them are really responsible for what's going on. There's nothing malicious going on with the druids, and there's really nothing malicious going on with the paladins. It's just for whatever reason they have reason to disagree and blame each other.
Oh, that was totally the adventure where we may have bluffed our way into a goblin fortress by using a severed goblin chieftain's head as a hand puppet, and bluffed our way in.
So something actually that occurred to me is if you wanted to do this in one session, you could just do it by avoiding even going to the temple. And other than the session would consist of simply finding the source of what that is, and then going to the paladins and being like, hey, paladins and druids, you're both very powerful individuals. You can work together to surely defeat the threat, because average person in the town is going to be CR1. That's going to be a lot of powerful people.
Oh, that's interesting. So all of a sudden the players who were given the quest become the quest givers. Hey, look, your problem's over there. We've identified it for you. Give us our loot and you guys go fix the problem. Y'all blaming each other. But the problem is probably just an accident upstream. You need to go fix. I like the way you think, man. I like that.
Look,
the
you guys.
investigator / liaison rather than the murder hobo.
I like that. It doesn't even have there can be no combat in this session. I think it would be great just because of actually in something like this, I would give the players like NPC stat blocks of like the leaders of each of those groups and just have them arguing with each other.
You know, we could fix a problem, but you guys aren't exactly level 0 farm or militiamen. Just saying.
Any other points on this?
Not really. I mean, if you wanted to think of it, as a longer term adventure, you think about why the toxins were being produced.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a purpose? Like, are they making zombies or something with necromantic magic, and that's leaking out into the forest grove, and that's ultimately the source of it? Or maybe there's like some muck golem or something like that.
Or
maybe it's just some fertilizer, just heavily concentrated.
Yeah, to me it sounds like since the temple is underwater, it's most likely something that happened in the past, and this sentry is just there to protect it, and just by accident somebody interrupted that, and that's what caused it. So all this whole hoopla, this whole adventure is just it was an accident. There's no real villain. There's no. I mean that I don't run a lot of those, so I definitely could see that being interesting. Where there really is no villain that caused the problem. It was pure accident, and the tension between these two have each other blaming each other. So.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I just have a fun adventure idea that you can stash away for the future.
Okay, can you text it to me so we actually have it? Because if you tell me, I'm gonna listen to the episode. I'm gonna cut it and plan on writing it down and never do it.
Well, Cliff Notes version at least. Like a village goes through a drought because the river dried up, and it turned out what happened was upstream, a portal opened inside the river, acting as a drain that goes into a different dimension.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Text me that.
I
Or
will.
add it to the brainstorm section.
I will.
Anyway, so I think that'll do it for our encounter of the podcast, the Soiled Grove. Darrin, would you like to take our magic item?
Sure. So this magic item is called Paralyzing Fog Vial. It's a very rare item, and it is consumable. The text reads, as an action, a character can throw this vial at a point up to 60 feet away. On impact, it releases a dense purple fog in a 60-foot radius sphere centered around the impact location. The sphere spreads around corners and the area is considered heavily obscured. It lasts for 1 minute or until a wind of moderate or greater speed, at least 10 miles per hour, disperses it. A humanoid who ends its turn must succeed a DC 14 Constitution saving throw or be paralyzed for the duration. At the end of each of its turns, the target can make another Constitution saving throw. On a success, the target is immune to the effect for 24 hours. Creatures who don't breathe or hold their breath are immune.
So I do realize there's a few typos in here. I think it's supposed to say areas who end their turn in the area must succeed a DC 14.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, this sounds really interesting. It's basically the fog spell with like a paralyzing effect. Wait.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean...
It's like a mass paralysis sort of thing.
Yeah, what's interesting is that it doesn't affect you until the end of your turn. So it gives everyone the opportunity to scatter, which I think is really cool before it takes effect. What do you think about that, Darrin?
It's a very rare item. So if I was a player and I threw this thing and everyone simply just moved, like, oh, there's this purple magic fog, let's not stay in that. I might be a little bit, disappointed that I spent my very rare item on this moment. So, a lot of spells like this, they word it such that it's when you enter the area for the first time, or when the fog appears, or something like that, they make a save too, rather than or when you end your turn in it.
Okay.
I think the one that comes to my mind is the only one where you end your turn in it is Moonbeam. That's the one where you can just like walk away from it
and get out of its way.
Yeah.
Now this does have a pretty big radius, though.
That is true. 20 feet is pretty big.
And if you have, I would hope that as a player, if you had this item, you would plan for restriction or some sort of spell to create. This would be a great use of heavy, some spell that creates difficult terrain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you easily can stop somebody from getting out of it at that point, right?
Mm.
So I think, what is it? Is it spike growth or Something is that
Yeah.
that creates a very large difficult terrain area, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that this spell is very powerful because it can paralyze people. So I guess I can see the need for the weakness there. But I also think it's interesting that it creates a very heavily obscured area. So maybe the goal isn't to paralyze and defeat your enemy, but to stop them from pursuing you. Or maybe or a tool to potentially capture somebody or control their movements, as opposed to like I'm gonna kill you sort of tool.
It struck me as a getaway item for sure. It's like, we're being pursued in this cramped area. Boom, lay down this thing, and hopefully they won't pursue us through this. And if they do, maybe they'll stop literally.
Get caught up in it, and slow them down. I definitely think this is interesting. Definitely something you would need to prepare for, aside from just using it carelessly. But with enough thought and or foresight of what you wanted to do, this could be very potent. But it's a consumable, so you only get one shot. Don't fail, I suppose. I really like potions, so I'm always happy to see stuff like this. So, do you have any comments on there, Ian?
Nope.
Okay. That'll do it for our magic item of the podcast, the Paralyzing Fog Vial. Our Dungeon Master tip of the podcast comes from Rob Taylor. Anyone else do a danger count? Resting in the middle of an enemy fort or keep after a loud battle with magic and screams of dying is going to bring in some folks to check it out. Consider danger counts. I like to determine where the party is resting. On numerous orc bodies in a dungeon where the fighting lasted long enough to attract attention, or perhaps the smell of fresh blood brings in scavenging monsters, or are they in a well-traveled road? Try to account for their resting locations and condition. This makes players much more aware of their spell slots and abilities, so it's not blow everything and recharge.
Yeah.
Oh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about it?
I think it's a good idea. Because I think players do default to, we're going to fight then rest, even if it's a short rest. Even though they're dude, if you actually apply this thing called logic, you're still in a dangerous area.
Yep.
You're going to have patrols and stuff. There's going to be risks. I think, we've always talked about, resting is something that people try to do regularly, especially in 40. It was really bad when the short break thing was like 5 minutes or some shit. But
I think wasn't it 5 minutes in most editions though?
I don't recall. Darren, did you play any of the older editions? I don't remember.
I played 3.5 really a long time ago, but not.
I think it might have been that way in 3.5, but don't quote me on that.
And so when he's talking about a danger counter, originally I thought he was talking like our escalation dice.
Yeah.
And I guess it's something similar where maybe you put a die on the table, and then as they go through encounters, you increment it, and that increases the likelihood they'll run into a patrol, or a second wave will come when they're trying to take a break or they're trying to rest.
We're now at DEFCON 4.
Jeez. Have you
I
ever
heard that in Out of the Abyss? I never fully read through this entire adventure, so that there's like a drow pursuit level basically after the first chapter. So it sounds something similar to that, but at the same time, when I'm in this kind of thing, if they're in a fort, I just apply a sort of narrative sense about how this goes. Like, all right, so you just you attack the keep, and now there's someone over in the next room. They probably just heard a bunch of screaming and fighting, so they're gonna probably check that out,
Right. What I think is cool, because he's using some sort of counter, as a player, I would take that as a signal like, oh man, that number's getting pretty high. Maybe I shouldn't use my last spell slot in case we run into something.
Yeah,
and
that's a good point.
That, I think, that in and of itself appears to be what he's going for, is that by having like a visual indicator of the potential risk, players are less likely to make a careless decision as they proceed into, danger. I guess that's why you call it danger count, I guess. I don't know. I think it's an interesting, I would say this is kind of an interesting tip, as in that it kind of points out some of the obvious, but gives a very good visual indicator of the danger for the players, and hopefully not be the what did he say? Blow everything in the fight and then recharge. Unless you're a warlock, then that's okay.
That's assuming you get a short rest, of course.
That's assuming you get the short rest, right? So I think that's pretty interesting. So I do have a question for you from Samuel Darrin. He says, did you make the spell Soulfire from the Versatile NPCs book?
Mm-hmm.
He says that's really cool. He says there's not many 9th level spells, and making a new one sounds interesting, and that one is pretty epic. Can you kind of briefly describe exactly what it does?
Well, it's an evocation spell at 9th level. It's like a big boom, basically. The caster, they release a lot of energy from their soul. So if you're evil, it's necrotic damage. If you're good or neutral, it's radiant damage. And it opens up, and it's sort of like this big conic area, and everyone inside has to make a saving throw, and then they can sustain that area for however long, up to a minute concentration on each of their turns. So basically, you can't stay within that area unless you want to die.
That's pretty baller. That is really cool. I'll have to. Which monster is that on?
The legendary mage.
Oh, it's like level 9. That's the level 19 one, isn't it? Or level 18, something like that.
That just made me think about something. Neutral characters get very little love.
In I feel like in 4th edition, everybody was neutral because they thought it a get out of jail free card.
Well, like the example you just gave, for example, is like if you're good, it does radiant. If you're evil, it does necrotic. If you're neutral, you pick either or. I'm like, no, why can't neutral have its own thing? Why can't it just be like, I don't know, like force or psychic?
Right.
I was basing it off another spell. I forget which one it was, but that's the reason.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But I'm sure you get where I'm coming from. Yeah. I don't mean for just that. I just meant in general.
Right. That'll do it. That'll do it for our DM tip of the podcast. For our player tip, we always say don't be a dick, but due to the delay, you can't say it with us. So we'll say it, and then you'll say it, and then we'll combine it in edit. So our player tip of the podcast is don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
We have to try again. You'll have to wait until we do it, and then you'll do it because it still is off. Even when you try to tie it, because there's a slight delay.
Say it after you guys say it?
Yep.
Oh, right.
We tried so many times to get it to line up, and no matter who it is, we could never get it right.
Okay.
So our player tip of the podcast is don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
And you can avoid dickitude by... I'm sorry, I said I was going to let you take this one.
You can avoid dickitude by embrace and explore character deaths. If a character dies, address it in-game. How does your character react to that loss? Often, as we perceive it as a game, it's just, well, that sucks, roll up a new character. If your character likes that person, maybe help give closure, take their body home and bury them, or burn them on a funeral pyre. Make an effort to inform their loved ones of the death.
As a DM, I think this is something that could do better with. And as a player, I think this is something I could do better with. I don't think I've ever taken any action or response when somebody dies. I've literally had that sucks. Can anybody heal? No? Okay, well, he's not coming back. I've never thought to include the character as a story. Like, even in character, I never say, oh my God, Nut Puncher. They got Nut Puncher, those bastards! I'm gonna kick your ass! You know, I've never had a reaction like that, and I don't understand why I never have. What about you, Darrin?
I haven't killed that many characters before. I almost said I haven't killed that many players before. I haven't killed that many player characters before, and the ones that did die were all deep in a dungeon to the point where they actually could not do this even if they wanted to. So, Tomb of Annihilation.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And the thing is, unfortunately, a lot of player characters come or hatch from adventurer eggs, meaning that they don't have lives outside of adventuring. Like oh, so where are your parents? I don't know. I guess I got Jane as my mom.
So, do you think that that's a problem then?
I think it's part of it. I think they're both symptoms of the same thing, is that people, like not fully fleshing out the characters that they have. But I do think it, like, as a DM, it would be really nice if I saw one of my players doing this sort of thing.
That made me think of one scene from the internet movie, The Gamers, when their party mage died to a freak accident due to their own stupidity. And they actually did take the time to bury him, mostly so they could get holy points for their characters, mind you. But, like, let's have a moment of silence for our fallen mage character. I call it staff. I call it dagger. I call it bag.
And you make a good point. In a lot of deaths, that's what all that happens is, I loot him.
Yet, I love, though, how they, during the middle of the adventure, though, the player rolls up a new character. And fast forward like a half hour later, now, you see a random stranger on the path. Keep in mind, the last people you encountered in this forest were bandits that tried to kill you. Hello, stranger. Who art you be? I'm a wizard. What a coincidence. We need a wizard. May I join you? Yes, you seem perfectly trustworthy.
I think this points to a couple things, because not only is, and this might be just my games, so if yours is different, please let me know, that, okay, they loot the body, and then they just carry on. There's never any role play of, man, I really enjoyed Bourbon Toe. He was a great man. The ale that he made will forever live in the halls of fame, or something along those, sitting and talking about how that character just died, maybe deciding,
well, not anymore. I mean, he's the only one who knows the recipe, and he's out dead, so...
I mean, I'm a huge anime person, so even fucking Goku took 5 minutes to bury Vegeta, and he was an asshole, okay? So why don't our players do that? You as a player, if you're listening to this right now, think about why you don't do that, and what you could do to, even if it's just 1 or 2 lines, and then, pile some rubble on them so they don't, get devoured by freaking critters or something. I mean, this is
I think a lot of this comes down to the fact that it's just people who are not playing the characters don't actually have that great of attachment to the characters themselves.
Right.
Like, their fellow party members, I should say. They're usually, people would be very, upset, of course, if a player can no longer play at the table, but they think of they know that player's going to be there with them next week. And so they're like, oh no. So it's like that, it's not the same. It's because they know that person's not actually gone, so they basically have to be making up these emotions that they have. Whereas in a lot of times when you're role playing, you think of, I can totally see myself in this position where I'd be pissed at this guy who stole my whatever, and I can role play that out. But it's like, no, I don't really, this person's going to come back, so I don't really feel anything right now.
Now, do you think that is something that we as the DM could do more about? I think personal attachments in the game make the game better, personally.
Me too.
Do you think there's anything, and I know this is more of a player tip, but do you think there's something that we as the DMs could do about that to, at that moment, make it a little more emotional as the character dies, as opposed to just, you rolled a failed death save, you cough up some blood, and then you stop living?
Yep.
In the moment, I would say is really, okay, so first off, the first challenge is, if you how much do you want to seal the deal? I guess this person is dead when they die. Something you want. Maybe you want to have this narrative thing, okay, well, maybe they were actually captured or something like that. So let's assume that there was none of that. They died, and you want to narrate that with a lot of gravity. Slow down your narration. If you have music, maybe consider changing that. And then, so that's just the minor thing you could do that in the moment, but I'd say more where it comes from is in the beginning of the game, like session 0, beginning of the game. Talk to your players about what binds the characters to the world?
Mhm.
What are some of their bonds? What are why do they care about each other? And encourage inter-party role play throughout the entire campaign.
For sure. I agree.
This made me think of that episode of Voltron on Netflix. With the D&D episode.
I've only seen the complete first season and only part of the second.
There's a D&D episode. But I was running gag throughout the episode was like one of the characters, character kept on dying. And next scene, I am this character's brother, and I'm here to avenge him. It's the same dude. Guys, you just changed the name.
I think
Beer
some,
fest.
I think a lot of people have done that. There is a running joke about, I don't remember where I got it from, but this guy just carried a stockpile of character sheets, and when he died, he just flopped them on there. And I guess apparently they were building like a wall with the corpses of this guy who just kept showing up.
That was also actually from the second Gamers movie.
Oh, there you go. That must be where I seen it then. But anyways,
hide behind a pile of dead bards.
Don't worry, guys, I got this. But anyways, Savret says yes, the bard. Anyways, as a player, you have a lot of control over your own death as well. If you want, narrate how you die, how you look up at your closest friend, the life draining from your eyes, your skin going cold, all those little things, and make that an emotional moment because it should be important. To you, to the players, and to the game in general. Now, in D&D at higher levels, death is an inconvenience. But at lower not everyone can resurrect the dead and certainly don't have the money for it. So take those into consideration.
Unless you're a certain kind of barbarian.
The immortal one. Which one was that? The Zealot?
Yeah.
He knew right where we were going with it. He's like, yep. All right. So I think that'll do it for our player tip of the podcast. Don't be a dick. And you can avoid dickitude by embracing and exploring character death. Before we close out our show today, we have one more gift to give away. Compliments of Jeff Stevens. The winner today is Paul Armsford. You haven't got a chance, Darrin, so why don't you... Darrin, who's our winner today?
Paul Armsford.
Okay.
And I will hit the play button. Here we go.
When it comes crashing down and it hurts inside, you gotta take a stand and don't hesitate.
Sam has a question.
Sam always has question.
I have an idea. If a character fails his death saves and dies on paper, but still alive till combat is complete to give a more theatrical end, like Boromir. Thoughts?
Yeah.
I think that's great. There's been a lot of discussion on people wanting to create feats and special options that characters can do, like a last stand thing where they're out of death saves, they're going to die, giving them one last action to end in an epic way. And I think that's kind of what you kind of got there going there, Sam.
Or play a half-orc zealot barbarian.
There you go, which can do it already.
Or fighter samurai.
Yes. I like
That's
the
capstone.
what is the oh well, that's less dying though, the half orc feature you were just mentioning.
Yeah.
What is that called?
Relentless endurance.
Yeah, but they're not really dying. That just stops them from
No.
going
They're doing the
unconscious.
opposite. They're getting back up.
Actually-
they're like, F you, biatch!
Do you know what annoys me? The fact that half-orcs have orcish resilience, but full-blooded orcs don't.
Monster variant idea. Anyways,
Just saying.
so where are we at? Oh, congratulations, Paul Armsford. If you enjoy the adventure, please head on over to Dmsguild, leave Jeff Stevens a review, let him know what you like, what you didn't like, help him improve his product moving forward. Please join us on our next episode where we hear Please join us on our next episode where we hear feedback from you, our heroes. We will be discussing character options, talents from Dragonix on the Dmsguild. He's going to be guesting on our show as we talk through this. I'm super stoked about this. Darrin, by chance, do you know about the character options talents?
I do not.
A quick once over for everyone. The talents are a variant rule in 5th edition that really doesn't change any of the existing rules, but instead provides with small additional options for character optimization or character customization and development. There's over 230 talents that you can choose from that really give subtle customizable options. They sound kind of like little feats, I guess. But they're very nice and they're so subtle that they don't really unbalance the game. They just give you a little bit of flavor, I suppose, which is exciting. So I'm super excited to talk about that when we have him on. So I lost my show notes.
I actually did something like that with my Waterdeep Recognize campaign.
Oh
I
yeah.
had I called them little mini boons. Basically, I don't know if you've seen the guide to balancing homebrew races, but basically I took that, and it's basically a system where it lays out different abilities and that sort of stuff, like the worth of how much is a spell, first level spell once a day casting worth. So it's worth it's worth, let's say, 5 points, and then a +1 to one of your ASIs is worth 4 points. And basically, I gave my players like a certain number of points that they could spend on their character.
That sounds really cool. Have you written that up anywhere?
Yeah, I did, but it's not published.
Oh, you should do something about that because that sounds really baller.
We'll see about it.
If there's one thing that I constantly run into with older edition fans is that they feel like there's not enough customization options in 5e.
Of course, a lot of older fans of older editions find lots of things to complain about too.
Yeah, but so I love little options, and I'm all about giving boons and stuff. So little things that make my character a little more special. Hey, why not?
Things used to be like this, and we liked it that way.
That's because we're old and stuck in our ways. I mean, we're experienced.
You're experts.
Yeah. Shit. Where are we at? If you have any feedback on our tips and tricks or topics you'd like us to discuss, please send them to us. You can email them to us here at critacademy@gmail.com, or you can find us on Twitter and Facebook at Critacademy.
We hope you enjoyed your.
I hit your mic. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. We hope you enjoyed your experience here at Crit Academy. If you did, you can help others find the show by leaving a, hopefully, 5-star review on iTunes or your platform of choice. Or just send us a message telling us how much you enjoy the show.
I really like messages when people tell me how much they like us. It makes me feel loved and makes me forget about that 1 3-star we got on iTunes.
And while you're at it, you can also give us a like and a share.
Make sure to subscribe to our show at critacademy.com so we can help you on your future adventures, as well as be entered to win cool prizes each and every single week. You will also find links to our fellowship members there. If you have not checked out D&D character... I went out of order. You know what? They should go first this time. If you've not checked out the podcast D&D Character Lab, Garen and Dan every single week build very flushed out characters and pit them against each other in a predetermined criteria, and like a couple of professional bards duke it out verbally about whose baby is better. So check them out. Also check out Interparty Conflict. Jeff and Gabe. I forgot Gabe's name for a second. Gabe and Jeff do a phenomenal job. Their entire show is a lot like our Let's Talk About Blank segment, where they answer your questions in a much more thorough and professional way than we do. So definitely check them out. They got lots of good stuff. I personally love the Funeral Pyre, where listeners submit character deaths and they read them. It's fantastic. You should check it out. As well as you can find links to all of our other members there as well. I am your host, Justin.
I'm your co-host, Ian.
And I'm your guest, Darrin. Thank you for listening.
I'm going to go ahead and finish this, but then I gotta do one more thing. Keep your blades sharp and spells prepared, heroes. Darrin, we want to thank you so much for joining us today, dude. Thank you for coming on the show. We hope you enjoyed your time with us.
I totally did. It was a great time.
We're really excited to get this out there. We love your product. You do great work. Definitely keep it up. Please hit us up when you are ready to release your steampunk industrial stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because I am totally getting a hard on for that from earlier. So not as much as our listener who was getting a throbbing one listening to us. That was weird too. But anyways, I really am excited for that. So please keep us in touch. And thank you again so much for joining us. Thanks to all 2 of our listeners and all of our patrons that support the show. Thank you guys so much. I think, is there anything else?
Nope.
That's it.
All right. Hey, guys, thanks so much for joining us today, and we will see you later.
Indeed.
Wave to the camera, douche.
Bye.